Good morning, guys. This is Dileep Nigam, CEO of SimpliExcel Training International and certified John Maxwell coach. SimpliExcel is in the business of offering leadership and training programs to corporates and other institutions based on the leadership laws taught by John Maxwell. And today I have the honor and privilege of having with me Mr. Sharad Khare, digital marketing and media director of a company called Khare Communications.
That's right.
Khare Communications has been profiling, and in fact digital profiling, many leading personalities in the world, including His Holiness Dalai Lama, CEO of Lululemon, and many Oscar-winning personalities, including they have been profiling organizations like Fraser Health, TED organization, and BCIT, and the likes. So welcome, Mr. Khare. Appreciate being, taking out time for us and being on the call.
It's nice to be asked to speak. I usually am behind a camera, as you know, so I rarely get the opportunity to talk about my specific work. Usually my work is just seen, so it's nice to be complimented to be able to do this. So I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And before we get into the real interview, I would start with requesting you that if you can share a bit about your background.
Sure, yeah.
And share a bit about your background and see the journey of 10 years. Where you started and what's your background, how did you accomplish?
I mean, it probably goes back further than 10 years when I really started into journalism. It was 1996 when I started volunteering on community television. And so if you can imagine 1996 where you were at, if you were born, or wherever you were, I was young, I was energetic, I was had more hair on my head. I was more interested in being seen, being heard, and whatever opportunities I could take. So I was a volunteer on television from, I would say, 1996 right up to about 2007. Around 2007, 2008, 10 years ago, I was introduced to what was at the time called online television. So media vignettes like this that would be created by independent producers to be a host. And I used to see the correlation of the quality that was being shot on cameras being translated onto screens that were digitally sent through email, through social media, which was just emerging at the time.
Right.
And I started producing content with people I knew. So I would ask them questions about how they utilize social media to talk about their marketing, who they are, what they did. And people used to share that content, and I used to share that content. Soon, as I got more engrossed in it, I did this for free for a long time. I did it for free, meaning that I was just interested in it. I was passionate by it. I liked asking questions. I was good at it. It was the only thing I knew at the time. And today, I mean, it's the only thing that I really love doing is asking questions to some of the most fascinating people. As a young person, fascinated by celebrity culture or fame of others, I was always introduced to people who were in that realm, and whether they be in social occasions or through networking. But I had sought them out, and I was always interested in how they got to where they got to, just as we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So I used to do the same thing. I'd ask them questions, and soon the quality of my content got better and better. The questions I was asking became more fluid. And I started looking at some of the biggest people in the world to document. And fast forward, I have from the likes of working with generous, kind people who are interested in telling their stories, but who have been very successful in a very visual optics level to the general society. Like I've gotten to interview Meryl Streep, Susan Sarandon, Helen Mirren, who are Hollywood actors who people admire, and I was very humbled to just sit in front of them, do one-on-ones with them about some social causes they were interested in. I have been very fortunate to have people like Chip Wilson, the founder of Lululemon, spent a year with him documenting his life, and you learn a lot when you sit with somebody like that.
Absolutely.
And I have to say he's one of the most truly interesting men when it comes to brand building, integrity, really working hard to create something. And that is no short of anybody that I've interviewed. Everybody is very, I think the biggest thing that I've seen the commonality is everyone's truly passionate, that they would do this regardless of the money. And the money comes when you do great things. And that's just another sidebar to like doing things that you love to do. And then there's organizations, as you mentioned. You know, I've gotten to be on the TEDx stage, interviewing people like Chip. I've gotten to walk into the TED head office and interview their residents there. And I think there's not very many people that get those opportunities. So I've built my reputation, you know, and I think luck and hard work come together. I can't say that, you know, I'm the most unique person in the world, but I've done things uniquely to create such a brand. And I continue to interview and document some of the most interesting people in the world. I seek them out. I'm not a local, you know, I don't work locally in Vancouver too much. Most of my work is international. You'd see me a lot in New York, San Francisco, India. I've documented some interesting people. You know, I've gotten opportunities to work with entrepreneurship groups out in the Silicon Valley and in India to document the world's greatest Indian entrepreneurs, the billionaires of India, and travel with them and document some of their lives. And you know, there's countless number of stories which I could go on and on about, but let's go through some questions and see what you need to hear from me. I mean,
that's amazing, you know, hearing you, like, you're starting with a vision and moving forward with belief that yes, you can do it, and learning the process.
I don't think so you're partially right, and partially maybe I kind of made it up as I went along. I'll be really honest with you. I did not know, because at that time when I was starting 2008, 10 years ago, there weren't as many digital producers as there are today. So I was just going on guessing and pure passion, thinking that I would never make money out of this. This was just going to be something I exposed myself to. To make a living out of it is also difficult, unless you really put yourself out there and create a formula. And again, that formula that we talk about has really been made up as I went along until I had to, like, it was trial and error. I shouldn't say made it up, because it wasn't me. I was learning from what people were doing in business. And if you understand me as a person, I'm not a pure business person. I'm a pure creative. So I'm a creative person that happened to do business out of necessity.
That's right.
To live. And you know, that goes on every day. I'm an entrepreneur, journalist. And there's some people who are pure journalists that work for a big news agency. I have a lot of respect for them. There's people, but I also had this huge ideal that I didn't want to work for anybody anymore. So let's allude to that. Like, there's the reason that I'm doing the things that I'm doing. The prompt is that I don't ever want to work for anybody, because I didn't want that somebody else's mandate being pushed on me, and that's a tough thing, you know. Like, there are highly intelligent people out there that can guide you, and those are the mentors that we talk about, and those people. But myself, I have a lot of great mentors, a lot of great guides, but I didn't want a boss. And that's the difference between a mentor and a boss, I guess, is advice versus a pushing prompt, and I didn't want that pushing prompt.
Fantastic. A really motivating story to start with. Now, coming to the success process, every single person is bestowed with certain strengths. But on the way to journey, he does learn certain areas and improve certain areas to grow. So what were your key strengths right from beginning, and what are the areas you had to work on to grow and improve? So
I think listening is the key to my learning. I was trained to talk. I've been trained to talk on demand. You ask me questions. I love that banter. So I had to learn to shut up. I had to learn to be quiet. I had to learn to listen, and not just listen passively to wait for me to step up again and talk, but actually listen to what the person is saying. So I'm asking the right questions or giving the right reply. And or just being quiet again, and remaining quiet. So I've learned that that is a big thing that I had to learn. I think the other thing that I had to learn was that I'm not the best at editing a video. I'm not the best at shooting a video. I am one of the best interviewers, though, and that's what I do really well. I am well read on every subject that could be happening in popular culture, what's going on today, like daily information. Because I truly live off of that. I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people to have the human conversation. But then when I'm interviewing or documenting a subject, I go deep. I will study that person, spend time with them in such an intimate way that that they have never had somebody do that before. And that's the key to something else as well is and I think that's good with anything that you do in life. Right. 1 second. Is if you're going to spend time with a subject matter, a person, a product, a service, you make sure you know that thing inside out so there's no surprises later. And if there are surprises, you better make sure that you understand the context of what they're doing, who they are, your client. That could go with clients or anything, because you will not be able to do the best work unless you understand those pieces. So those are some things I've learned in the past. Yeah.
Right, but these are the learnings.
Sure.
But how about your original strengths? Like, what are the strengths you were actually bestowed with?
So I'm a great networker.
Okay.
I, from a very young age, when I was 15 years old, I made business cards, and I was an actor. So I started out as an actor, a failed actor, because I could never memorize lines.
Yep.
And, there's people that really, people that really believed in me. And, one of them was this woman, and her son is a famous actor, Seth Rogen. His mother, Sandy Rogen, when I was getting into my later teen years and into my 20s, she used to, help me find, people to, be interested in my work or as an actor, and she really pushed me. And I remember some advice. She just said, just be yourself, and the things will come through. And I think personality is another huge thing, is being really honest with your strengths.
Yep.
And being realistic about your strengths, and not trying to be somebody you're not, because in the end, I've been through that route where I'm acting as if I'm not, acting as if I'm something else. It doesn't work. Right. People see right through it, and people watch it, and they're waiting for you to just fall and laugh. Yeah. Or fall, help you up, and then tell you to straighten up. And so I soon learned things like that on myself. I was never going to be an actor. I had to realize that. Okay. I could never memorize lines. Okay. And the opportunities for a South Asian actor in 1995, 96 were not as prevalent as they are in 2018. Yeah. And I'm very honest about that. So I went into sort of the journalism, the broadcasting world, and opportunities were given to me at that time to just be a volunteer. So my key strengths were, when I met somebody, I would ask them for an opportunity. And there's some mistakes I learned on the way of that. Okay. So when I would meet somebody, I would take them for lunch. And, if I took them for lunch or tea, and this is after a lot of inquiry, calling them, I would cold call, because we didn't have email at that time. Yeah. I would sometimes even fax people. Okay. So that was really interesting to me. I would actually spend so much time at night faxing people that I'd wait for calls in the morning. Okay. And I'd hang out at home. I wouldn't even go to school. I'd skip school, college, to make sure that I was home for a call. And because I didn't want my parents, who I lived with, answering the call. So I would just wait there. I mean, that's how passionate I was about maybe helping somebody else. But what I learned along the way was that I was asking people that I didn't particularly know what they did or what industry that they were in. I was asking them for advice on my career, and they would give me general information or whatever they could support. And then I would turn around and I would be like, okay, maybe I should try that industry. Yep. Or maybe, and then I'd be like, and then after a while I'd be like, why am I trying this industry? Because it's it doesn't fit in my domain. So I think the best thing to take away from somebody you meet with is not what they do for a living, but the learnings that they take out and the ones that they're imparting on you. And take those to heart and make them your own, customize them to whatever your lifestyle is. And so that I learned a lot through networking. I learned a lot about humility. I think humility is a huge thing. I cringe when I see people who are trying to portray themselves as something else that they're not. And in social context today, through social media, a lot of people do that. And can't be helped. It's good marketing for some people. I'll be very honest. It is good marketing for some people. But you have to deliver. Yes. If you can't deliver and execute, which I learned a long time ago, because I had a job once, but my last job was for 10, 11 years ago. Right. And, before then, there were jobs that I had no clue what I was doing. Okay. And they weren't in the realm that I'm working in today, in the media realm. It was non-media jobs. Right. And I was like, I'm fooling myself, but I'm getting paid well, so I'm not going to say anything. Okay. And as long as I can coast and keep doing this. Maybe I can just keep doing this. And I realized that, am I truly happy? No, I was miserable. I was like, because one day someone's going to find me out, and then I'm going to have to figure out what I'm doing after that, and I'm going to have to like make it up all over again. No, I stopped that behavior. I stopped that pattern. I realized that the best thing that I can do is work on my passion.
Yeah.
And that's what I do today. I'm
well said.
pure passionate.
Very well said.
Sure.
Very well said. Work on your passion and move on, you know.
Sure.
Now, in this journey of career, you know, I'm sure there were tough moments
all the time.
which you had to go through.
Yeah.
And it's always there. That's a part of journey.
Yeah.
So do you remember any of the toughest moments you faced and how did you overcome them?
Yeah. So, I mean, early on in my career, you know, when you pitch somebody on an idea, it's your idea. It's not theirs.
Yes.
And I have been said to no. I've been said no more than I've been said yes in my life from people. And I've been said, well, we don't have a budget, so will you still do it? And, you know, some people are making a great living on treating people like this. They will lowball people or say, we don't have a budget, but you want to still come and do it. And because people are so desperate to get something going, they will go and do it.
Yes.
And I think that's unfair.
Yes.
I think it's a wrong way to do business. And I look back at the people who said that to me, and I don't do business with these people anymore.
Perfect.
In fact, we weren't doing business in the first place. They were not paying me to do work, and yet I thought it's a self-pleasing prophecy. Like, you're trying to please the person in front of you, regardless of if they're helping you or not, and they're really not helping you. There are some people that will give you opportunity, and those people that gave me opportunity are some of the most interesting people in the world, because the people who've given me opportunity are some of the most powerful, most influential people in the world, and they will never lowball you. They will treat you and pay you exactly what you're worth, and you will perform and do the best work possible, and that is the best relationship.
Yes.
So, remind me of the question again. Just say the question.
Yeah, the challenges, you know, the
challenge is how do you make
moments.
So the tough moments is when you're sitting there spending more money on somebody else's time and not making enough to bring home. Those are tough moments.
Yeah.
As a man, I'll be very honest with you, it was tough because my wife supported our business. Okay. She was the one supporting us for a long time while I was building my business over 10 years ago. And it's hard for as a man to say, okay, you know, I'm not making enough to support my family. And that's a very honest thing. And, you know, I had to go through that. And then I realized that, you know what, we live in a day and age where it's okay. Just so you know, it is okay to feel that way, but it's also okay for your wife, your spouse, whoever it is, to support you and not feel down about that, because it's a partnership. So I think those were some tough times, but also some other tough times that I've also realized is that when you're not sure if your product actually makes sense, if there's not a product fit for the marketplace out there, to know that there might not be like this what would you call it, this that you might not be relevant.
Yes.
You may think I found the golden egg of my life, that I'm so happy, but does it actually fulfill the marketplace out there? So you've got to also, as a creative, I had to become an entrepreneur and go through those. So I had to go to business people, and I have some of the best business mentors. A gentleman in town here, Vic Khanna, like I look at him like a guru. Like, he's like my true mentor, the guy who is so honest with me, but also believed in me. So that's another thing. You need to find somebody that believes in you. So listening to the wrong people is another mistake too. So like the people who you think are fascinating or rich, people are fascinated by wealth and wealth culture. And you know that probably some of my clients are some of the most wealthiest people in the world. But I tell you, if you're chasing somebody who has wealth that is offering you no value, but you like to be seen with them, getting pictures taken with them, then you're going for the wrong aptitude of your life. Like you're not reaching for the right moment or the right opportunity. Right. And nor is there an opportunity there. You're wasting a lot of time. And I go to a lot of events where I don't really like to, I like to go meet new people. I don't like to hang out with the people that I already know who they are. And I like to meet new people or introduce them, whatever it may be. Because what I also realize is that some of these people, their egos, ego is something else I learned to let go of. That was another mistake is when you've done something really great, well, you're only as good as your last big thing that you did.
Yeah.
So when people see me online doing work every day and they're wondering what I'm doing, I'm living my passion. And I'm keeping current. Because if I don't keep current, like you doing your interviews right now, if you don't keep current, then you're going to be left. Absolutely. You're going to be left alone. So, so these are some of the mistakes and some of the things I've learned. Is like, there's probably a lot more. Not learning to get a. Here's another good thing. When you do start making some money, is getting a good accountant or doing your taxes. Yep. I'm not an expert in those things. Because I'm a creative. It's who manages your money and how does that money get. So that having a good accountant, that's another thing that I learned.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Now, if you have a gigantic billboard, and you are supposed to put up a message which can be seen by millions of people, what would that message be?
Tell me your stories. That's it.
Okay.
Tell me your stories.
Interesting. Aligns very well with your
completely.
Business value system.
Yeah.
Okay. Gratitude is one of the key subjects for people who are successful. You always try to be humble and say thank you to people. So if you had to thank 3 people in your life who contributed to your success, who would those be?
So my wife, number one, Nisha, who happens to be a great producer and director now, and she lived an amazing life as a clinical counselor, hearing people's stories about their lives, internalizing it, helping them. And then she's now helping the world with creative storytelling, lifestyle, video storytelling. She's doing a big series. So she was a person who not only supported our business financially and, emotionally, but also told me to go do what I could do for my life. Like said, go for it. In this day and age, I know that people marry for money. People marry for status. I had neither status nor money when we first met, and sticking by me and looking at the things that I've done. So that's the greatest gratitude. Vic Khanna, this amazing gentleman who is my mentor, the person I go to, the most easygoing guy in the world, doesn't push anything on you, offers advice, always has a smile and a hug for you, and then breaks down what you need to look at. And he always taught me to focus. And he gave me opportunities as well. He didn't need to. So he gave me opportunities as well after telling me to focus. He didn't say just go focus, go. He said, okay, now that you're focused, here's some opportunities. And some of those opportunities were the biggest ones in the world for me. And they allowed me to grow. And those opportunities that I got from that created more opportunities. Wow. And opportunities layered on opportunities because I was truly passionate and I went for it and I listened and I focused. And then the last, obviously, the cliche one is thank my parents for everything that they've done. But, I tell you, a very honest truth, my parents didn't support my work at an early age because they came from a context where they didn't understand what media would do. They understood what an engineer could make. They could understand what a doctor or lawyer because of status. They came from, as immigrants to this country, not knowing the opportunities. And I tell you, media 10 years ago, the way that I'm performing, or the way there wasn't not big opportunities. And so, but they never said, they believed that education was the thing that I needed to do. I pursued my master's degree. I don't have an undergrad degree. I challenged a master's degree program with my work, and they helped me. They supported that. They believed in that, and they're the people who gave me a lot of life skills from being humble, kind, and I think that helps in my in my demeanor, of course. So what I would say about there's probably a list, so there's a list of people, there's more than 3. But my parents, of course, and if I didn't name them, then I would be a fool, right? So they've helped me be the person that I am. They've supported things later in my life. They supported my education early in my life. I wasted a lot of money on taking the wrong things. So I would say focus on the things you really need to take, because a lot of people out there are wasting their money and their parents' money on focusing on the wrong things that don't pertain to their talents or their God-given passion. So so those are some of the people. And if I added more people, it'd be like Chip Wilson. He is from 2008, 10 years ago when I first connected with him, he has consistently kept in touch with me, gave me opportunities, and been honest with me. And then, and he probably doesn't know this, but he's influenced a lot of my life with integrity. Yeah, integrity.
Wow, that's
yeah.
nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I understand also that, successful people are big readers.
Yeah.
They read books. So,
Sure.
would you like to name a book which really influenced your life a lot?
So there's probably a few. I don't read. I don't read too much because I watch so much video or I listen to audio podcasts, which is. Excuse me again, sir. I'm a little bit sick. Something that I recommend to people. But The Alchemist. The Alchemist is the most it's like my Bible. I keep it in my bag with me wherever I go. And it's funny. I read The Alchemist over and over and over again, except the last 10 pages for about 2 years. I didn't want to read the last 10 pages because I didn't want it to be over. And when I read the last 10 pages about 2 years ago, and so that tells you how long, something changed. So I was at this momentum up to this last 10 pages. And then when I read the final last 10 pages, kept holding off for about a year then when I read them, I was like, wow, total shift of everything else that I was believing up to that point. And so that, if you want to talk about, and I'm not the only person that talks about that book. There's many people that talk about that book, your destiny of who you are, how you deal with things, and it's a story, but the way that story is told, it's like, I see myself in that whole book.
Okay.
And I live that that sort of the prophecy that's created in the end. So yeah, The Alchemist.
Connecting with the book is very important.
Completely, yeah.
You connect, you feel connected with that.
Sure.
Okay. If you remember a latest purchase in the past 6 months, $100 or less, which really impacted you, $100 or less,
$100 or less, yeah.
which really impacted you positively, and you cherished that. What would that be?
That's a great question. $100 or less. It's tough. I'm sure I have.
Most of the time we spend a lot of money, and we do remember that,
What's the best thing that I purchased at $100 or less that I use every day? Okay. So, something that I really am learning about is my health.
Okay.
So, I've neglected my health, my physicality. I'm not my 20-year-old self that was better looking, had high metabolism, would lose weight without eating anything I wanted. And as a creative, I'm sitting in a chair, I'm directing, I'm traveling a lot, I'm eating poorly. And I should use it more, but something that I should value a bit more is a health membership. So I joined a gym, and it's less than $100 a month.
Cool.
But it's probably the thing that I'm gonna need moving forward for success. And again, I could go there every day if I wanted to. I don't, but I need to start looking at that. So health is a great one. But another great thing that we do spend less than $100 on is we're busy people. My wife is busy. I'm busy. We have 2 kids. And we're very active in traveling. I travel every other week to somewhere in the world to interview, document, do whatever I want. So we got a meal sharing service, a meal prep service called Fresh Prep. And I'm not giving them a commercial or anything, but I tell you, it's like it's less than $100 a month, and we get prepared meals. So it's all chopped up and ready to go, and you just prepare them. Can I tell you, that was the best investment we've made.
Okay, I've heard about that.
Because we don't have time, but it's healthy. We're trying to eat more vegetarian because that's the way the world's moving, and it comes all prepared for you. So no homework. Those are some of the things.
We'll try that too.
Health is what my.
But I'm sure a lot of people get a tip here. The health.
It's number
Little
one.
Investment, but a lot of value.
100%. A lot of value.
200%.
It is going to be the only way
you
that
can't even quantify the value.
You can't even quantify the value.
Exactly.
So that's what
so valuable.
So I think that's what you need to invest in.
Fantastic. Very good tip for many people.
Great.
If you had to give an advice to a fresh college student about to enter the life, what would that be? So
college student, entering the real world. Well, I mean, Like I think I've probably said, be realistic about what you're actually capable of doing versus what you're going to put on your resume. Because people, I haven't had a resume for years. Thank goodness, because I don't even know what it would look like. It'd be a very creative map. It'd be beautiful. The reason I say that is because I work with very smart people that I hire on who are college graduates, master's degree, PhDs that do work for me, or on contractual basis. And some of them will show me on paper what they've done, but they can't execute.
Right.
And so here's the deal. If you can't execute on doing something out there and you're telling people that you can, you will be put to the bottom of the barrel because there's more faster people out there that can do it with less education and maybe even lesser pay.
Yep.
So be very realistic. That is my one piece. And number two, be a very good communicator. Actually, so you asked me some of my greatest strengths. My communication skill set is one of my greatest strengths.
Right.
I am able to vocalize. I can walk into a room of people, and if somebody needed me to make a speech or talk about something, I could do it right there and then. Fantastic. So voice inflection, to having the right thing to say, to being current, those are things that people, so soft skills that people don't learn every day. So I have to have great communication skill set and be realistic about what you're actually able to execute, because people will see through that and they'll fire you. Because we can find somebody better and faster really quickly.
You're gone. Yeah.
Really quickly.
Yeah. It's a very dynamic word. You can't fool people anymore.
You can't fool people.
People, everybody's smart. Yeah.
Proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
When people ask me
when
people ask me what I do for a living, and I tell them, mention some of the names, they're like, oh, whatever. And then they go and see the work, then they're like, oh, okay, he actually does this. So you have to, we can look, and anybody can be looked up.
Yep.
So know that as well. So yeah, there you go.
And the last question which I always ask all the success icons I meet is, how do you define success?
So it's hard to qualify the answer that I'm about to give, but I feel that you can quantify success or say, is in true happiness and feeling freedom and relief. When I come home from a trip or from a contract and I'm like, I can sit on my couch and not think about anything and just sort of like turn on the TV, read a book, cook a meal without worrying about what's on the phone, what's happening here or there. I literally see true success there.
Yeah.
Happiness. I think freedom is success. Freedom from having somebody else put constraints on you. Freedom of actually knowing what you do and knowing how to do what you do without asking anybody else. That's a true success. And then, like people quantify it with, I think people like call, the mainstream community would call money, titles, like everyone's so title driven.
Yep.
I mean, I'm a documentarian and a digital journalist. There's no hierarchy in that whole piece. It is just what I do. It's just what I do. Chief officer of whatever, this, that, and the other. Those are titles to show that this is a structure of how we're going to work. But really, I've seen some of the greatest CEOs work collaboratively with all their staff. So there's no hierarchical piece. But when a final decision needs to be made, those people who are at that with that title know how to make those decisions. That's who they are. That's what I understand. It's not a power thing. People in the old school think that there was a power attached to success.
True.
I can tell you that power is a really loose, it's a very interesting word, and you have to use it correctly. And I believe power is more of an emotional quality rather than a quantifiable one. So I'm powerful in my storytelling. I'm powerful in how I speak about my storytelling or the things that I believe passionately in. Being able to push somebody around or fire somebody is not power. It's called manipulation. And that is the difference. So success is not power from a that's not success. A great title is not also a success because somebody can print that on a card very, very easily. So success is true happiness and freedom of doing whatever you really want in life. And, for me, being successful is being able to travel anywhere in the world and do whatever I want, and that is true success. And I think I don't know if I'm a success from the means of other people, but in my life, I feel successful because I'm living a happy, passionate life. And that level, and I think everybody needs to define what their level of success is based on how happy they are, and that's really all it is.
True.
And it's just a word. Remember that as well.
I can align with that.
Yeah.
Yes, the freedom of choices and
exactly,
and the happiness.
Exactly.
Ultimately, what you derive.
And don't get me wrong. I like to make money.
Yeah.
I am a business.
Yeah.
All money has done is enabled more freedom.
Yes.
For me to do whatever I want, and I'll give you a really quick example. I'm currently doing a project that I'm funding myself, documenting Aboriginal artists and leaders across the country with an Aboriginal partner out in Ontario, and I'm funding the whole project right now. Currently, I'm funding the whole project, and that is my passion. That is success.
That's it.
When you can do something without anybody else, without having somebody else to say you can do this or not. So when I go to these social events, and I see people gravitating to the people who they think are successful or got money, I actually sit back and watch what goes on, and I kind of laugh, because I can tell you, if that's how you measure success, then I can introduce you to some of the people who are really successful based on that measurement. And those people sitting at the parties that you guys are hanging out with have no clue what is actually real success in that matter. So I think we should measure success also in humanitarianism.
Yes.
How people give back.
Yes.
Who they are. It has nothing to do with a dollar sign.
No.
Has nothing to do with how well people are dressed. It has nothing to do with the car that they drive, the address they live in. It's how they live and how happy they are. And that's it. And how they treat people.
Yes.
How they treat others.
I
don't like snobbery. I don't like people you're limited in your time on who you can spend time with. Even us trying to put this interview together took us a while to do. But after a while, I knew that it was important for me to do it, and I didn't want any other factors to. So, because you're trying to do a service to yourself, learn and educate others. So, that in itself is a successful formula. So that's it. Yeah,
that's beautiful, because giving out to people without any expectation from them, that's beauty. That's real success, and I totally aligned with your definition.
Great.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, Sharad.
My pleasure.
Really
Thank you.
Hope
time. It helps. Yeah.
And I'm sure your story is going to motivate many people for times to come.
Super. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.